get the front of the panel assembled with the zippers sewn in, and once that's done, we put the back on, put the strap on, and we're good to go. Easy, right?
Sure, right.
Yeah, there'll be
That's
a
why
few.
you got that instructor goes out.
Yeah. Well, the instructor will make it easier. How's that?
Okay. I have no doubt about that.
So, has anyone done work with zipper stuff before?
What's a zipper? No.
I have, but never with a zipper foot. I didn't know.
I forgot to buy a zipper.
I
Okay.
have never done a zipper before.
One side and the other.
Well, the first thing you got to worry about, this is coated material, and that makes a difference. The coating will actually attract sand, so you need to try and make sure you get all the coating on the inside of the bag.
Yeah, for sure.
So the duller, kind of smoother finish is on, that's the right side, and the coating has got a glossier finish to it. And I saw Alden already read my instructions and has done it, but I'd suggest putting a piece of tape or something on the front side so you know which is the right sides.
There's tape available on the machine at the back of the room.
Yeah, I have it online. I reuse it, so I keep it on the machine and I
Is it
tear off
pieces
the
on top?
pieces. Yeah, but I use a lot.
I have it in my tote, lining my tote.
And
I used a lot
Oh,
yesterday.
I can do that.
this is called coil zipper, and as you can see, just buy it by the yard.
Oh,
Um,
so I'm thinking of that.
So again, the right side is the side with the teeth facing. The wrong
Okay,
side
Okay.
is just.
It's not gonna work the other way.
Then you're not doing it the way.
It's not the
You
instruction.
didn't follow the instructions.
Okay,
Uh,
sounds good.
Yeah. And so the idea is you're going to take your material. Right, so you don't confuse them. So I've got the good side up. The yellow is really hard to
I was
tell.
gonna say, that's hard to see that
Yeah.
one at all, yeah.
But you can actually feel it better than
Yeah,
you
well, I
can see it.
can't, but most people could.
The coil tape has been cut long, and so, you know, like yours may be about that long. And so the idea is just kind of center it on here. And I've got, this is face up on the material, face down on the zipper.
Okay.
So the edges of
What
the
we
zipper are
did
going to the
yesterday.
side of the bag? and put it
Yes.
there? Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, what you're going to do is you're going to, once we get everything, once we get to that point, you're going to cut, we'll hot cut
Oh, okay,
here
okay.
to get this back down to size.
So the zipper coil, you hot cut, you don't use scissors, anything.
No,
It'll
everything was hot cut
Right
to
like
start
that.
with. This is stuff I just bought from the store, so this is what happens when you don't hot cut.
Got it.
And it will get worse over time. So everything's hot cut, and I've talked about this in the instructions. At some point, you're going to want to take your scissors and just clip off that last foot. But we'll talk about it when we get to that point. So the idea is, with the zipper foot, you're going to come along the inside here, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch in. And then once that seam is down, you're going to roll this whole thing over like this, and then top stitch down. In the instructions, we'll talk about spacing and all that kind of stuff. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do that for each of the different pouches, and that becomes the top of the pouch. Okay?
Okay.
And then the next step will be to do the same thing, only now you're taking this pouch and sewing on that to the other half of the zipper. You can, it doesn't really matter if you put this on the bottom or if you put this on the bottom, but this stuff stretches like crazy. This is bad enough. But this stretches even more. And so when it hits the feet, the dogs, it'll stretch all over the place. So that's why I suggest put the material down first. once it's down, you don't have to worry about it when you're top stitching. Okay?
Okay.
So get started with that, and we'll probably have you come back up and we'll go over some next steps.
And wave to the camera.
Who?
The camera.
Oh. So, Alden's just cooking through here. So the first step was to get the zipper tape attached to the top of the pouches. The next step is to sew up the rest of the panel. So what you're going to do is you take one panel, you start with the bottom panel. The bottom one is the smallest panel. And the reason for that is when you have, it's not going to be quite as big of a problem, although with the larger winders I think it may be.
That's okay, you just put your larger winders in the middle.
Well, that's the whole point, is that when you start rolling these up, depending on how much material, how many winders you put in there, you're starting to add thickness to the bag, and so some of the depth of the pouch is being taken up just crossing over side to side, because ideally you want them to lay flat like this. And so that's why you start with the smallest on the bottom, because that'll be on the inside. Makes sense. Release them out.
Makes sense.
Okay? He's got 3 different sizes here. So you start with the small one on the bottom, and it doesn't matter, at this stage, it doesn't matter which one's on the bottom, which one's on the top. As far as, I'm going to lay material together. You're going to put right sides together, but what we're doing is we're taking and we're joining the bottom of one pouch to the top of the previous one. Okay? So this is the bottom of the bag. This is the next pouch up. So what we're going to do, so I've got this one face up, this one's now face down, and you're going to line it up on the zipper coil, and then you'll do just like you did with putting the others on. When you're lining these up, don't worry about the overhang here. What you're trying to do is get the pouches, and what I would do is always get the start of the pouches to line up. Don't worry about the ends. Get the starts to line up, because we're going to have to do some trimming anyways, and we'll just trim the one side. You can get one side even, one side straight. We'll just trim up the other side.
Okay.
Okay?
I got cracker.
So,
It's okay.
Alden's almost ready. He's got one top stitch
Just one
missing.
top stitch.
Eager
to get done.
So, you know, he's got the 3 pouches sewn together, and he's got the top panel. Top panel is the skinniest one. Okay? All right. So the next step is to get the zipper pulls on. Now, this stuff is just notorious for fraying, and so I've hot cut all the pieces, keep it from fraying until we're ready for it. Unfortunately, what that means is that the hot knife really kind of mangled up these teeth on the end. Now,
So you leave it long to account for that.
exactly. Plus, you know, this stuff stretches all over the place. So, like I said, you know, you get one edge that you line up. We leave everything long. I've got a little extra so I can do what I'm about to do next. Not have to worry about it. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take some scissors and just try and clip off this last little set of teeth that I munged up here when I hot cut it.
And you don't use your applique scissors for that.
No, you want some good heavy duty scrap scissors. I'll leave these up here if you want. Now, these things will open up nice and easy. Now, he said he wanted the zippers to close this way. So, the end opposite of where you want it to be fully closed is where you start. Okay? So we're going to put the zippers on here. And all you can do is tear them open an inch or two, Just make it nice and easy to work with. And for whatever reason, for me, I found it works easier if I turn them upside down. So I'm looking at the back side. All that means now is that I need to turn the zipper pull upside down. And these, you notice how it's got like a little bulge here, about halfway through. So what I do is I'm trying to get the two pairs of teeth to start matching up right about there. So what I'll do is I'll slide this one on. So I just get that set on there. Get the thread out of the teeth, maybe.
You said we didn't have to worry about that. This was all going to get cut later.
All right. This is probably the hardest part of the whole project. Just getting these things back on there. And what you're trying to do, assuming that everything else was lined up the way you want it, you just try and get these two sides to line up again as you come starting through the zipper. So now, you know, just double check, make sure they're even, because it's real easy to get them off. And if it does, you just pull it back and start over. It's real easy. So now I've got those on there, so all I'm going to do is just take them, pull it to about center. Okay? And just leave it there. And you do that for the other two, and then we're ready to do some trimming and put the back on.
Okay.
Okay? So, he's got all the zipper pulls on. So the next thing to do is to get the ends trimmed up. Now, he did a really good job, and he's got a really nice straight line. These are close enough, I wouldn't even worry about trimming end to end. All I do is I just kind of make, you just sort of make a straight line between the two. And so for these, all I do is just get my straight edge to the edge of the material, take the hot cutter, and what I do is I'll come, and this stuff melts very easily, so just come up to the teeth on either side, and then you kind of let the iron do all the work, and just sort of run back and forth over the teeth, let it melt everything down again. You just go back and forth a couple times till you can feel it cutting. Okay, and it'll just melt right through. So just get a nice clean edge like that. And this also helps seal the ends to keep the zipper from coming off. I mean, this is also going to get bent around, and it's going to be really hard to pull it off anyways, but you know, I figure every little bit helps. Okay?
Yeah.
So do that for now. The other side, you've got a choice to make. These two are lined up really well.
But the purple one's short.
The orange one's a little bit long, and this one's a little bit short. You know, this isn't a kite. Things don't have to be perfect. So what I would tend to do is I would start here, come straight across, and then just sort of gradually slope it up to this one. Cut these straight across and just cut this last one straight up.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Well, I see part of the problem here. I wasn't quite generous enough in my cutting.
Because
Normally
he didn't
what-
account for me being generous in my widths for the zippers. He's being nice.
Usually what happens when I'm making these at home, I don't pre-cut the backs. I wait until I've got the front side finished, and then I've got the back cut to width, but I just got a big long roll of, I see I've got rolls over there. And so I just wait until I've finished the front side, and I just trim this to match the length of the final pouch. So what we're going to do, the top part, it's not critical, but it's more important than the bottom. And so his is a little bit longer than the back material that I've cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and line up on the top, and then we'll just sew around here, and then
Cut the bottom.
We'll just cut the bottom to match the back.
Okay.
Okay, so he'll lose about a ½ inch off the bag, which is fine. These are still pretty generous for line winders. Okay. So the idea here is you're going to line these up, and
Now you know for your next class.
yeah.
He did say this was the first time he did it.
I know.
I think he's doing a pretty good
He's
job.
doing a great job.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over, and I've got right side facing the right side. Okay, so the bag is essentially inside out right now. Now, this top part is going to be totally sealed. So what I want to do is I want to put my starting and ending points up here. So we'll start somewhere up here, and you're going to go all the way around the bag and end up back up here somewhere. It doesn't matter where and here you start. It doesn't matter which way you go around the bag, whatever works for you. Okay? The really critical part is when you go over these teeth. What I will do is I'll come and sew up to where the teeth begin and stop, and then turn the crank by hand.
Let it
To
go through so you
walk
don't snap
over.
a needle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can burn out the motors, because sometimes they'll hit right on top of the needle or teeth, and it won't push through, but the motor is still trying to push it through. So I always hand stitch over these, and what I do is I come down to the end of the tape and then back up, stopping again, and step over, back up, and come back down, stop, and step over.
Reinforce it right there.
Right, you want to, because this is going to be what locks in the pull onto the tape. Okay?
So just go up to the zipper, reverse back to the edge of the
All
zipper fabric, and then forward again.
Let me go through this one more time. So we're gonna. Alright, so we're gonna come down the edge, up to the teeth, stop, hand stitch over, come all the way to the other end of the tape, back up, stop, hand stitch over, all the way up to the other end again, stop, turn around, come back down, stop, hand stitch, and then continue
So
over.
3 total.
Yes.
Just make sure you stop when you get to the zipper.
every
part.
Full speed
Yep.
if I'm going to keep ahead of these guys.
If you don't care about your machine, that's
It's not my machine, so I don't care.
Now,
whose machine is it? I'll tell you how much you might need to care.
$50 worth, I heard.
in the instructions, I said to pin them. I usually don't worry about pinning stuff.
I don't know that
You know, it's not going to slide around that much. Most of the, if it does move one way or the other, it's not critical. So I don't get that excited about it. The one thing that's going to happen now, Alden did end up doing some trimming. So his is wider on one side than, the back's a little bit wider than the front, which is fine. But what I would do is try and get one edge again to line up with the back.
Do it, and then I can.
And then when we're done, when you got everything stitched together, you just come back and cut down the side again, trim it back up. Okay? And action! Yes. Okay, so Alden has finished sewing on the back, and he's trimmed up to make sure that all pieces are even, okay? So now what we're going to do is turn the bag inside out. And usually what I do is easiest just to start in the center. You just take your finger and pull that open, and you slide so you get the zipper all the way open. And now, I'm just going to take right side out again.
I see tape. Oh, you lost your tape.
I know which side is which now.
Okay, so now we've got our basic bag ready here. Now you notice
Pokey
the corners, yeah.
Pinky finger. I
This-
got a little finger.
Charmaine Unbowers taught me this one.
Yes.
Is that a knitting needle?
Yeah, just get an old knitting needle Although I had to go to Joann's and buy a new one, but.
Should it come to the thread?
And so, just use that and you get them poke out nice and neat. The other thing you're going to want to do that will help is to get these seams stretched out as well as you can. So when you're got them together like this, you're actually looking at, you can sort of see the stitching right along there. Okay? All right. So you do that all the way around, get all the corners, get everything, the edges nice and creased out. And then you're going to be ready to start top stitching. To do that, what you want to do is you want to get all of these zippers closed all the way. All the way over. They're all closed. Push the air out. And then you pick one end or the other. It doesn't really matter which one. What you're going to be doing is you're going to seal the top end of the pouch. Now this is the critical part, and I'm going to ask you guys to, the first one you do, to come see me first. Make sure. Because if you do the wrong one, you have to undo it.
The top and the bottom.
All right.
To do the top, you have to do the bottom.
So this is the pouch. This side of the zipper is the top part of the zipper. The top part of the pouch. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a row of stitching down here.
Okay.
Now his seams here are so wide, I would probably just run right back down over the top of this top stitch here. That'll be plenty wide enough. So what you're going to do, you notice the zipper pull runs all the way up here. So we're just going to fold that down nice and tight like that. Make sure that these get nice and tightly creased here. We'll set that into the machine, get the presser foot down, and then you're just going to start sewing down, okay? And these you do need to do a lock stitch at the start, and you do another one at the end. But what you're going to do is you're trying to keep the back flat with the top, so you get a nice, clean, even pouch here. You sew down. When you get to about here-ish, you stop. Leave the needle down, lift the presser foot, and
Open the
pull
zipper.
the zipper back into the middle. Now here you got to be careful because now this stuff can, it's going to help that this has been stitched down here. So it's just this part. So you want to try and sort of get it close to keeping everything flat. And now you got to get this one folded back down, get it pressed down nice and tight, and then finish up the seam. And then lock stitch it. And then you just go up here and do this one, and then you do the same up here on the top now. Okay? So the critical part is make sure you're on there.
Which is actually
Now, because of my foot on my machine, should I flip-flop the foot? And
Once-
sew from the opposite
okay.
side, I think?
I missed a point here. Once you finish getting the zipper stuff on, you can take the zipper foot off and put your regular foot back on. Because you don't need the zipper foot
Oh, so
anymore.
when you're sewing the back side of it, you're going to
Yep.
Okay.
But when you're doing this part here, don't you want the zipper foot? No?
No.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, if you look at the pictures on mine, I was actually using, what I would do is I would run the edge of the
The edge
foot
of the
right
foot
against
right
the
on.
edge of the teeth.
Okay.
And that
Give
helped
you
me
your
get
guide.
a nice, clean,
Yeah.
even line all the way down.
Okay, perfect.
Okay?
Yep.
And it was just, for me, it was just the perfect spacing that I wanted. Now, with his, he may need to actually, if you want to come back down over the top, you may have to actually move the foot
Yep.
over a little bit. Okay?
Got it.
So try and keep the back and the front nice and flat and even as you're sewing.
Okay.
And make sure you're
Exactly. Actually,
on the outside of the wrap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So
Yeah, well,
what you're going to do,
stitch backwards by hand.
So we're going to come down.
So the short part goes to the back.
Right. So this is the back side of the bag. And then what you want to do is basically put a 1-inch set of marks.
Mm-hmm.
Get the material and do it, you know?
And so I try and get this
That way.
point here right around the edge of the
No, and that was
bag.
it. It's just I couldn't go
Um,
physically go back.
and then all you're going to do is
I
just
hit
do
the button and
a couple of stitches
turn
over
the
this,
same thing, yeah.
just to tack it down good.
Thank you.
There's not going to be a lot of attention on this, so
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go over
it's not
four
something you really
times.
have to get
Okay.
really excited about. The biggest thing I would do
That
is
one
make sure
didn't work so well.
you catch up here a couple times, and then just tack down a couple.
Yeah, I tend to do a square box with an X when I do that kind of stuff.
That's fine. The most amount of strain on this is going to be right here at the top,
Okay.
and so I do, a couple of stitches.
Back and forth right next to each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then if you want to do an X through the rest of it, great.
Sounds good.
It's gonna be like that, comes like that, and then this part is attached to this end, comes around and clips in. Okay?
Mhm.
So all we have to do is get this on correctly. All right. Now in the instructions, I said I couldn't get a good picture of this, and I don't know if your video is going to catch it either. But this is the little bar I was talking about right here.
Okay.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want this bar on the top. That's on the bottom. That's on the top.
Okay.
Okay. And so I always do this with the bag rolled up like this to make sure I'm getting it threaded right. So what I want to do is I want to come up from the bottom on the inside of that bar.
So the front of it,
The
towards
front.
towards the points.
Towards the top, right. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap it around the bar and go back in this other slot here.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I did is I said, all right, now test it to make sure that it's locked in place. So I just pull like that and it locks. Now if you did it the other way.
Did it the wrong way, it
upside
just slides right out,
down.
yeah.
Exactly. It'll just slide
Yeah, that's
right
why
off
you
of
need
there.
those. I see the teeth on the bottom to
Yeah.
bite into the
See,
fabric.
It won't lock that way. So before you put the pigtail on, it's important to test to make sure you've got this on correctly. Once that's on, then what you're going to do is just form a little pigtail. And you can do this now, or you can wait till you get home
Got it.
and
So that
you
it
load
won't.
it up with winder, so you know
I
about
can
how
always,
much.
if it's too long, I can always cut it and
Well, yeah, it just depends. I mean, probably if it's close, you're not going to worry about it. If it's too long, you can just cut the pigtail off and readjust.
I'm not really worried about it. If I have a little bit of that hanging out,
Yeah,
I can just stuff more winders in the bag.
it gives you an easy handhold for it. So you're just going to roll it back like that,
So a double roll.
and then just I put about 3 stitches back and forth across there.
Okay.
Burning, I'll bet.